2014, it's just like boom, like, girl, you don't want to be no doctor. I was like, okay, here I am, clueless. Like, I have no idea what I want to do. Hello, hey, 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 it's Autumn here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Do a little dance, do a little dance, do a little dance. Hey, 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 hey. But yes, welcome to my channel. I'm so happy to finally be launching this after all this time. It's been something that's been on my heart to do for a very long time, and just to be quite honest, I was terrified. I was like, I can't do this, but I'm doing it, and so I'm just super ecstatic to finally bring this channel to you. If you follow me on Snapchat, you probably be skipping through it, but I definitely talk about all kinds of things, but most of the time they're really positive. I'm very big on positivity, and so that's what I wanted to bring on a larger scope. Just a little bit of positivity to lighten and brighten your day and to inspire and motivate you. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about a lot of different topics, a lot of great things, and I hope that it can make you laugh, encourage you, whatever the purpose of the video is supposed to do. I hope that it does it for you, and I'm just thankful to all of you for tuning in, and so I hope that you enjoy today's video and be on the lookout for some great things to come. Today we're going to talk about when we feel like we have to have life figured out, but we don't. And so it's going to be really good. So stay tuned, and here we go. So I'm sure most of you have heard at least one song, if not the whole album, Bryson Tiller's album, Trap Soul. We were on our way to Vegas, and I was listening to 502 Come Up, and you know the part where he's like,
I'm 22, I gotta get it now, man who knew he'd have it figured out.
I was like meditating on that line. I was like, yes. And then I was like, no. I was like, I'm 24 and I don't have it figured out. And I thought about it, and I was like, there's so many young people, us recent graduates, upcoming graduates, early mid 20-year-olds, and we don't have it figured out, and we feel like we should. And there's a lot of emotions and things that go into that and play on that. And so I came up with a list of things, 5 things that I felt were important to remember when you feel like you should have life figured out or have it all together, but you don't. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and I hope that these things help you if you're struggling with this, or if you have been struggling with it. So here we go with number 1. So number 1 is, where you are, which is your current state, is not who you are or where you will stay. That's so important to remember. This is temporary. 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 This is temporary. This is not going to last. And you have to remember that. You have to constantly remind yourself that this is a season, and that, one, you're not alone. Because I promise you, there are so many people that just are like, I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. And that was true for me. I graduated Tuskegee University in 2014, and I had a plan. I thought I knew what I wanted to do as far as my career. I wanted to pursue medicine, so I wanted to go to medical school and become a doctor. I ended up in a health enrichment program at the University of Alabama in Birmingham. That's where I currently live. And so I attended a health enrichment program there, and it changed my views on what I wanted to do. And so I looked up, and after 8 years of being positively sure that I wanted to be a doctor, I looked up, and here I was, and I didn't want to be a doctor anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have no clue what I want to do, where I'm going, and like, I have this $100,000 degree in tote, and I just felt like I wasted the last 4 years of my life getting a degree that I necessarily don't really need, because I don't even want to pursue medicine anymore. And so it was just a really confusing time in my life, and I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't know what to do, and I was just like, Jesus be offense, help your girl out, because I just was like totally lost. And so I just felt like I was stuck, and I didn't know whether to move forward. I didn't know whether to move backwards. I just thought that I was going to be like this lost little birdie forever. And I had to tell myself, like, this is temporary, and this season that I'm going through has a purpose. And that's the biggest thing you have to learn out of that whatever you're going through has a reason. And that reason you may not know right away, you may not ever find out, but there's a reason that you're experiencing what you're experiencing. And it doesn't mean that you're any less than, or that you're not worthy, or that you've failed in some type of way. It doesn't dictate who you are, what you are, and where you are going. Like, we all have times where we have to go over speed bumps, and that was definitely a speed bump in my life, where I had to slow down and really analyze what it was that I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. Where you are currently, whatever state that is, not knowing what you want to do, questioning what you want to do, trying to figure out what you want to do, is not who you are, and it's not where you will stay. You will come out of it, and you will realize that there was purpose in that time when you had no idea what the heck you were doing. So it's normal, and it's okay. It's okay not to be fulfilling a certain thing by a certain time. However, that doesn't mean that you should be stagnant in your predicament, in your situation. Like, you don't want to stay stuck. You want to constantly be working towards something. I don't care what that something is, but you should be working towards something. And so that's point number 2. Little progress is big success. It takes baby steps in everything that you do. You have to crawl before you walk. You are the little engine who could, and he had to chug little by little up that mountain, or wherever he was going. I don't remember the story, but wherever he was going, he had to chug before he got to his destination. Sometimes you have to chug to wherever it is that you're going, and that may literally be step by step by step. But you should be constantly making those steps. Find yourself a hobby. Get a part-time job. It may not be your dream job. It may not be a job in a field that you want at all, but it's progress to do something else. And you never know what those steps could open up to, and where that can lead you. Okay, so number 3 is don't feel pressured. Of course, when you feel that you're not in a place you should be, you're going to feel pressured to be in the place that you think you're supposed to be. And so those pressures can come from all types of sources. They can come from family, they can come from friends, they can come from, honestly, just society saying that at such and such age you should have together, or you should be married, or you should be having kids, or you should be working on another degree, or you should have a job. It's always a pressure coming from somewhere. A lot of the times I think we get it the biggest from family. They're constantly wanting to know, well, what are you doing with yourself? Or are you in school still? Or are you working? What kind of job are you working? There's constant questions coming from our loved ones. And sometimes it can be really irritating, and you just have to step back and say, hey, I'm working on me, give me a little time. You have to remind them that growth is a process, and it requires a lot of patience. And not only do they have to give you that patience, you also have to give yourself that patience. You can't pressure yourself into feeling that, like, this is what I need to do. Like, I have to get it done now. Because that's not necessarily the truth. You may have a vision for your life, and it may take you 3 years from the initial time you had that vision to really fulfilling that vision. Or blooming into or blossoming into the person you want to be. So it doesn't always happen overnight, at least not for everybody. And you just have to remember that you can't pressure yourself, and you can't let those outside sources pressure you. I think society is another one that tells us, well, hey, we need to be doing this, and this. We need to go to college to get a job. So, okay, I go to college. We need to get a job after we graduate college to pay for the debt that we accumulated while in college. And once we have a job, then we need to find a spouse. And once we have a spouse, we need to be figuring out, like, when we gonna be dropping these babies. And so it's always something pushing you and pressuring you to be, somewhere else. And that's not necessarily, how it is. So you have to resist those pressures, and you just have to step back and say, hey, I got this. Let me figure it out. It's not in my timing. And that's the key to take from this message. It's not on your time. At the end of the day, that's the truth. It's not happening in your timing. It's not happening in mom's timing or dad's timing or, whoever's timing, society's timing. It's happening in God's time. When he's ready to catapult you to the next level and take you to the next step in your life and, reveal what it is that he wants you to do and your purpose, then he will open those doors for you. But until it's his time, nothing is going to happen. And like I said, that doesn't mean that you should remain stagnant. You should always be working towards something because, like we said, little progress is big success. So we should always be working towards something. But we may not see the steps that we want to see until it's God's timing for us to see those steps, until it's God's timing for us to embark upon those steps. So when the pressures start to come, you just have to say, hey, this is out of my hands. I'm doing things in God's time. I need you to be patient with me. I need me to be patient with me. And that's how you have to deal with those. So remember, don't feel rushed. Don't feel pressured by outside sources. Number 4, which I think is a really, 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 really big one that we probably out of all of those, we struggle the most with. And that's trying to keep up with the Kardashians. You trying to keep up with the Joneses. You want to be like the person next door. You can't do it. You can't do it. True story. When I graduated, I was in a relationship at the time, and my boyfriend, he was an engineering major. And I think with majors like that, like engineering and business, there's a large realm of jobs available for them versus, in my opinion, biology, where the playing field is a little bit different because a lot of the time you still have school to finish if you're going into a professional program, or if you want to do something like teaching or lab work, those jobs are there. But I knew I didn't want to do any of those. So for me, I didn't have a large selection like my boyfriend at the time did. So when we graduated, he was offered a full-time position with a Fortune 500 company. And as supportive as I was so happy for him. At the same time, it made me feel really bad because I wasn't graduating with a full-time job, and it was just so many things that kept happening for him. He got a job, he moved into an apartment, and then the following year he ended up buying a house. And I was just super duper happy, like I said, but at the same time it made me feel bad. It made me insecure about what I was doing with my life, and I compared myself to him and his success as far as his career was concerned, and it really, weighed me down for a really long time. And I felt that everybody else was also comparing, me to him as far as like what he was doing, oh, well, he's doing such and such. What are you doing? How are you making things happen for you? And I think that's just a common thing that we do with those that are close to us, with our family, with friends. We just have a tendency to compare ourselves. And so we have to remember that we are unique in our own way, and that, just because somebody else has a blessing right now doesn't mean that you aren't entitled to one either. You just have to let God work in your life. It goes back to everything happening in God's timing. So just remember, when you're ready to compare yourself, know that you have a situation of your own and that you're going to get the most out of your situation as well. And you just have to wait on your time. That definitely leads into number 5, our last tip for this video, which is everyone has their own path. And I'll say that again, everyone has their own path, and that's why you can't compare yourself to anybody, because your path isn't going to be the same as somebody else's path. Your path is unique to you, their path is unique to them, and Sally Sue's path is unique to Sally Sue. You have to follow your path. If you don't know where your path is or how to find your path, make a path. And that's starting with little things. Those little steps, that little progress is big success. Find a path. Make a path for you. That was testimony to me. Everybody has their own path. Everybody's path isn't going to be, cut from the same cloth, if that makes sense. Some people are going to go straight up the mountain, and then, like, to me at the time, my boyfriend, that was his path. He went straight up the mountain. And me, I had hurdles and fire darts being thrown at me and climbing over big boulders and had trenches that I had to crawl through. Like, I was going through it that first year after graduation. And everybody, like I said, everybody has their own path. We all have different stepping stones. And that's what I live with my aunt. That's what my aunt told me, he had his stepping stones and I have mine. And mine are a little different. And everybody's are going to be a little different. We're not always going to have the same path. Once again, there's nothing wrong with that. You have to find your path. And if you can't find it, make one. Like I said, you should be doing something, working towards something, getting involved in something, like I said, it took me a year after, well, not a whole year, but it took me almost a year to just go out and get a job. Like, I applied and I applied and I applied places, never heard anything back. And then one day, God was like, boop, he dropped that stepping stone and I got a job. And so, thankfully, because now I got big girl bills. And, as I just continue to, move forward with my life and continue to, submit my life to God, he is constantly putting stepping stones down. And that's not to say, God does bless everybody in different ways. But just because you haven't received your blessing and you think, other people have because they have a job or because they got a new car, because they got to do this, they got to go this place, and whatever the case may be, like, we all have a different plan. There's a different plan for our life, There's different paths that we're meant to follow, and you just have to wait for your stepping stone. And you will get your stepping stone, and you'll start to create your path, and you'll start to find your path and what it is that you're destined to do and God has for your life. So just remember that we're not all the same, and everybody's story is going to be different, and you don't have to be doing what the next person is doing in the sense of having a job or being in school or whatever it is that you want to fill in that blank. Do you, be you, and you're going to be fine. Everything is going to come together for good for you. And you just have to be patient, and you have to know that you'll get there. You're going to figure it out. You can't give up. Even when you're just like, I can't do this anymore, and, like, I don't know what to do with myself, keep pushing. You have to keep your head up, stick it through, push through the rain, like, just do it. Just do it, and you're going to be okay. And so, those are just the things I want you to remember. Those are things that I've reminded myself over the past year and a half, and I hope those are just a few things that help you all who are struggling with trying to figure out what you want to do, or things aren't, falling into place how you want them. Patience is a virtue. Remind yourself that patience is a virtue, and it just takes a lot. It takes a lot of prayer, and just continue to push forward and have faith and know that things will come together for you. And so I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear things that you all remind yourself. If you're going through something similar, feel free to leave any suggestions for more videos in the comments below. And I will see you in my next video. I wish you all the best, and I love you all, and thanks for tuning in, and have a great evening, a great day, a great whatever, because I don't know when you're watching this. Love you guys.
Sit up in my room and ponder, finish school and get a doctor's. I'm 22, I gotta get it now.
Like, I'm 24 and I ain't getting it. Like, I'm new to this, so I'm using like the light from the computer to like light this up, and I think it's doing pretty good. I'm kind of glowing. Like, hello. Hello. Okay, anyways, yeah, let me look at my list real quick. Then when he brought his house, I was like, you got a house? Like, dang. I felt like a failure in a sense, to be honest, because I wasn't doing what everybody else was doing. And like I said, for a really long time, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. So I just, was just like, oh, such and such is doing this. Oh, such and such is getting ready to go to school. Oh, such and such got a job with such and such. And I was just like, Autumn, you ain't got